Welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Laura Egan O'Brien. I'm the Marketing Manager for the College of Engineering and Architecture here in UCD, and I'm going to be your host for today. The session we have here is our fifth webinar that we've had in our Talk Graduate Virtual Event series this week. And today's session is all about programs within our School of Civil Engineering. You will get a chance to hear from our Head of School, Professor Amanda Gibney, and also then a bit more on the student experience with two of our current students, Cian, who is in his final year in our two-year program in Civil, Structural and Environmental Engineering, and also Chongqi, who is doing the one-year program in Structural Engineering. So they're going to give a bit about their journey so far and how they've experienced the course and studying in UCD.
Hello everybody, so my name is Amanda Gibney and I'm the Head of School in the School of Civil Engineering. So the School of Civil Engineering is located on the UCD campus, and I'm going to talk a little bit about both UCD campus and civil engineering itself, and then talk about our programs in the School of Civil Engineering. So I'm going to share a few slides with you. Let me just share my screen. Start the presentation. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen there. So in terms of UCD itself, UCD was founded by St. John Henry Newman in 1854, and it's a leading research intensive university, and it makes quite a significant contribution to Irish society. It's in one of the top 1% of higher education institutions worldwide, and the campus in Dublin, it's a 133 hectare site, which is quite parkland type of site, with facilities and buildings and world-leading facilities. We have over 33,000 students from all across the world in UCD. And amongst that number, we have 12,000 graduate students. Important to us also is our societies, our student societies. We have more than 70 student societies and 55 sports clubs. And those extracurricular activities are available on campus, and they are, as I say, a very important part of the student experience with us in UCD. Let me just talk a little bit about civil engineering itself. So civil engineering, the school is in the top one in the QS World Subject Rankings in Ireland. In recent years, we celebrated our 100 years of the discipline in UCD. And the school is expanding, and it has currently got 23 academics who are all proactive researchers. So research is an important part of what we do in our school, and it also forms an important part of what we do as part of our programs as well, for our taught programs. So the research being undertaken in the school would be in the areas of structural dynamics, earthquake engineering, wind flow and computational dynamics or fluid mechanics, structural health monitoring, behavior, soft soils, material behavior, which would include bituminous materials, concrete and soils as well, transport policy and modelling, and critical infrastructure resilience and sustainability. So that kind of captures a lot of the research activity that happens within the school itself. On our Belfield campus, we have about 100 undergraduate students and 70 graduate taught students. And we also would have 40 graduate research students who would be engaged in both tutoring and demonstrating in our undergraduate programs and our taught graduate programs. Our students come from all around the world, and currently we'd have about 25% of our students would be from outside the EU. So I want to talk a little bit about our programs themselves, and I suppose the kind of skills and competencies that you would get through our programs. So our master's offerings, particularly, they would deal with the design and construction and the maintenance of the physical and natural built environment. That would include the design of bridges, buildings, roads, dams, and works relating to the management of water resources. So the contribution of civil engineers to society is quite substantial and can be seen both at an urban and rural development level. For example, seeing the supply of safe water, flood protection measures, which are becoming increasingly important, and also transport infrastructure, again, which is an important part of both rural and urban life. Our taught master's programs would particularly develop your ability to identify and formulate complex problems, civil engineering problems, and to analyse those problems. As I mentioned earlier, so a significant research project as part of your taught master's enables you to develop the skills to design and conduct experiments, and to apply standard and specialized research tools and methods of inquiry to the work that you're doing. And that would be, you would have a supervisor, who you would work with, but you're also, I suppose, given a lot of free rein in terms of your ownership of the project, of the research project. And that's, developing that ownership of a project is something that's very important. So those sorts of skills, they're key attributes for lifelong learning and for continued professional development. And particularly in a society that we're living in, which is ever evolving. You develop, numerous and problem-solving skills, and also, these will provide access to professional careers in civil engineering, design, and construction. Also, policy development is a big area. Project management, business and finance, and other areas. So, a kind of typical academic week for our taught graduate students would include lectures, tutorials, laboratory sessions, group design projects, and also individual assignment work as well. And these would be complemented by, leadership roles, interacting with undergraduate students, and a series of presentations, your written thesis, and an oral examination in your written thesis as well. Our assessment is a combination of continuous assessment throughout the year and also end of trimester examinations. So these would test your academic ability, but the assignment strategies also develop your written and oral multimedia communications and leadership skills. And these would be the skills, again, that are required of a professional engineer as well. So just to talk about particular programs that we have within the school, our 2-year Master of Engineering programs include an 8-month work placement in industry. And all of our taught master's programs, again, just to reiterate that they incorporate a significant research project as well. So the first ones are our Master of Engineering in Civil, Structural and Environmental Engineering, and Associate Professor PJ Purcell is our Programme Director for that programme. And this is a 2-year professionally accredited programme suited to civil engineering graduates with appropriate prior learning at the kind of level of Honours BSc in civil engineering. The programme provides advanced learning in the fields of civil, structural engineering, water engineering, highway, geotechnical and environmental engineering. You'd have a significant choice, across modules in all of these areas of civil engineering throughout the programme. The second one, which I mentioned, is our Master of Engineering in Structural Engineering with Architecture, and our Programme Director is Associate Professor Arturo Gonzalez. And this is a 2-year accredited programme, again, suited to civil and structural engineering graduates with appropriate prior learning in architecture as well. The programme provides advanced learning in the fields of structural engineering, coupled with the study of architectural modules as well. So there would be also innovation leadership and professional engineering management within the programme. The next programme I want to talk about is also a Master of Engineering programme, and this is in civil engineering. And Assistant Professor Jennifer Keenan is our Programme Director for this programme. Now, this is a 2-year master's programme where the first year of study is undertaken in UCD on the Belfield campus, and the second year is undertaken in Columbia University in New York. So graduates from this programme would obtain a master's programme from both institutions. So in the first year, you'd study structural design, geotechnics, water engineering, and you have the option then of an 8-month work placement in the spring and summer trimesters. Students would be required to maintain a second-class honours grade 1 performance and faculty recommendation then for acceptance to Columbia University for the second year of the programme. I'll also mention here the Master of Engineering in Civil with Engineering with Business. And this is a programme which is the Programme Director is in mechanical engineering, so Nicholas Costas. But it's open to civil engineering students or students with civil engineering background to take this engineering with business program. And what you would do if you're taking it as a civil engineer, you would take core modules in civil, structural, water engineering, highway and geotechnical engineering. And these would be then coupled with core modules in business and management as well. We also have 2 1-year master's programs, and our 1-year master, these are Master of Engineering Science programs, and these are taught across the autumn, spring and summer trimesters. The first one is our Master of Engineering Science in Structural Engineering, and our Programme Director is Arturo Gonzalez for this again. This is a taught program which would be suited to either civil or structural engineering graduates who want to specialize particularly in the area of structural engineering. So there'll be a combination of core and option modules in structural engineering topics and a research topic in an area of your choosing. And you have the ability to tailor your learning to the kind of aspects of advanced structural engineering that are of most interest to you. You'd also study professional engineering management, energy systems and building, and environmental assessment and management as well. And the learning experience you would have in terms of your autumn and spring trimesters would be lectures, tutorials, and studio work, and group and individual project work. And the final summer trimester then is primarily devoted then to the structural engineering research project. The second one-year masters in Master of Engineering Science in Water, Waste, Environmental Engineering, and our program director here is Assistant Professor Fiachra O'Loughlin. And this program focuses on concepts of theories of water, solid waste treatment, and environmental protection. Analysis, design, and management of treatment facilities, including flood protection systems, are included. And through the program, you develop the ability to collect, synthesize, and evaluate and analyze data. Oral communication and written communication skills are also developed through the program. You would then work on an environmental research project throughout the year, but again, primarily the work would be undertaken in the summer trimester, but there's pre-work to be done in the autumn and spring trimesters for your research project as well. So typically, the sort of work that our graduates would progress to in their careers would be consulting engineering, contracting, public agency work, so working with public agencies, research work, so further studies are working with a research institution, education, further education. Others would go into business and information technology and project management and financial services, and also some would move to law as well. Key employers of our graduates would be ARP, RPS, ESB International, Jacobs Project Management Group, the Environmental Protection Agency, O'Connor Sutton Cronin, AECOM, Walls, Accenture, Glanbia. So just to name a few, those would be companies where and institutions where our graduates have progressed to in recent years. So I suppose there are a lot of opportunities with the two-year masters, particularly our students who go out on placement find that when they return from their placement or their internship, they usually have an offer of a work placement then for their graduate work. So that's certainly it's a very big draw that the 8-month work placement can lead to a work placement to a job after you're finished your masters as well. So I suppose that's a brief introduction and a whistle-stop tour of civil engineering and the programs, the top masters programs that we offer. I'm happy to go into any more detail or to answer any questions that you have, and either that or to get back to you as well if you have any further questions.
So first up, we have Cian.
Hi, thanks, Laura. So as Laura was saying, I'm doing the 2-year master's program in civil, structural, and environmental engineering. The way it's done here in UCD is where you do 3 years essentially under the first program, and then you do it 2 years on your master's program. I suppose for me, the benefit for me in that regard was that as part of ours, we do our placement in our 4th year, and I felt that going into placement where I had 3 years of education already under my belt, and I was essentially at the same sort of a maturity level in my knowledge as, say, somebody who did a 4-year program, that it gave me a great advantage going into work, that I felt like I was very capable of doing the work. And as a result, I was given sort of work that I felt was very beneficial and that was very meaningful for me. On top of that as well, by doing a master's program for your future career development, I believe ever since 2011, you are required to have a master's in order to become a chartered engineer in Ireland, as recognised by Engineers Ireland. And why that's beneficial as, say, when you're a student now is that you can have your master's degree under your belt after your 5 years. And then after that, it's just 4 years after that of further learning and stuff like that whilst you're working. And you can then become a chartered engineer. And obviously the benefits of being chartered engineer is that you have many more opportunities and much more, I suppose, important roles within companies. And as well as that, you would see pay rises. As far as I know, the Engineers Ireland salary report said somewhere around 5 to 10,000 euros compared to, say, somebody who wasn't chartered. So as far as a value to your career, it's definitely very beneficial to have a master's program under your belt. So as I was saying, I've been doing it in UCD. I suppose the course content that I've learned so far it's been great. Like, because we spent 3 trimesters doing course content, and then we spent an 8-month placement during that in our 4th year. I suppose for me, being in civil, structural, and environmental engineering, I got to see a bit of structural engineering, a bit of civil engineering, and also a bit of environmental. I suppose the civil engineering would include, say, soil mechanics or geotechnics, and you would also do transportation engineering and highway engineering and stuff like that. So for me, I'm heading into a career of transport engineering, and that was very beneficial to me. And I suppose going into, the workplace with a knowledge in transport is very useful for me. And as well, within that industry, there's a lot of work going on now with active travel and with public transportation and improving it for Ireland as we move away, as a modal shift away from car journeys. So for me, it's very useful to have those modules like transportation and highways and such that it's very beneficial to me. I suppose as well, on top of that, you'd have your structural engineering. So actually, if you do the 2-year program, the civil, structural, and environmental, you also can work as a structural engineer in a structural engineering firm. And your degree is just as valuable. I suppose, like, we would do, obviously we do like steel structure, concrete structure, building frames, and I suppose part of our case studies module, we got to really apply that, and it's very useful for you as you go into your career. And with the degree, you can do so much. You have so many options. You can even, I suppose, with the environmental aspect as well, you've got your EIAs and your EIRs. You can do all that stuff. You can also work into industries such as like sustainability engineering is the new thing, and sustainability consultants, where companies employ people now to have, I suppose you could say, a greater insight on carbon counting, embodied carbon within structures and buildings and road projects. And as carbon taxes become more of an important thing within the European Union, you'll find that that those jobs will be growing, and it definitely is a growing industry. I suppose just following on from the crash, like civil engineering took a bit of a hit, whereas now it's as we move towards a more sustainable engineering future, there's definitely a lot more opportunity. I suppose my time in UCD has been fantastic as well. Like, the class sizes aren't too large. They're about, I believe my class is about 30 or 40 people on and off between different modules. And I suppose it's a great opportunity to really get to know people and get to know your friends. And it's definitely less daunting as, say, some industries or some courses where you'd find that you could be in with 70, 80, 90 people in a class. And it's very hard to develop relationships when it's just sort of, such a large scale, whereas, it's quite concise, it's small, and it's a great opportunity to get to know people and get to work together with different people, and you get to work with them regularly as well, which is just fantastic. And on top of that, I suppose, for civil and structural and environmental engineering in UCD, there's great societies. Our civil structural society is fantastic as well, and it really actually caters as well towards us sort of older students. A lot of societies are sort of like geared towards 1st and 2nd years, whereas for us it's really good. There's really good social nights out. There's good coffee mornings and stuff like that. So it's a really nice course to be in. And I suppose as I come towards the end of my time in UCD and in civil and structural environmental engineering, go into the world of work, like, I suppose I'm really I'll miss those sorts of aspects of it a lot. And yeah, it's been a great time. So.
Great, thanks so much, Cian. Really good information on that particular course. So the next speaker we have, as I mentioned, is Chongqi, who is from our structural engineering program, our 1-year program. Chongqi, if you want to give us a bit about your journey so far.
Hello everyone, I'm Li Chongze, a postgraduate student from China. My major is structural engineering. I came to Ireland in September 2021 to do my pre-master studies at University College Dublin. I started my formal postgraduate studies in September last year. For me, choosing the master in structural engineering has been an experience of both challenges and opportunities. As you know, structural engineering is highly specialized and systematic. We have a lot of assignments, class tests, exams, etc. But while completing these challenges, I also learned very systematic knowledge and gained a lot of friendship and mentorship, which I think is the sense of achievement and the value that doing the master has given me. After completing my postgraduate studies in structural engineering at UCD, I also plan to continue my studies here to complete my PhD. From coming to UCD the year before to starting my postgraduate career last year, I have been blown away by the professional team of teachers and the reasonable curriculum and the excellent teaching facilities. Compared to my previous study experience, I can say that the quality of teaching and the academic quality at UCD, especially in structural engineering, is undoubtedly among the best in the world. For this reason, I'm extremely proud and honored to be a UCD master student in structural engineering. I submit my application for a faculty scholarship for my PhD some time ago, and I hope to be successful in obtaining it and to start my PhD career here successfully. For now, my focus is on studying for my final exam. I'm aware that the final exam will be a big challenge for me, so I will try to prepare for them and try to fully reflect what I have learned on the paper. In the end, I will try my best to get a good grade and a degree to prepare me for the rest of my research life. These are my experiences as a structural engineering postgraduate. Thank you all for listening.
Great, thank you so much, Shang-Chi. Great to hear the experience of an international student, and wishing you the best of luck in your PhD studies. So we'll move on to our Q&A section of the webinar today. We have a couple of questions that have come in for our students today. So I think the first one was to Cian. Maybe I'll go first to you because you're on the 2-year program doing an internship. How did you secure the internship? What is the process of getting an internship, and was there plenty of supports for you to do that along the way as well?
Thanks, Laura. So yeah, I suppose in UCD, the way it's done is where they essentially give you a list of different partners that they have and different companies which accept candidates, and they would have, I suppose, what the roles are and what sort of candidate they're looking for, and what sort of a way that you would work. So say for your hours of work or days of work, or where you'd be based, and whether you'd be on site or whether you'd be in an office setting. I suppose it was very beneficial having that we didn't have to, I suppose, go out and try and find our own sort of placement, that we were given the options there, and we knew that these companies, I suppose, were looking for us, as opposed to us just putting in applications into companies that say might not be particularly looking for someone like us at the time. On top of that as well, I suppose that's another great benefit of it, was that you knew exactly what you were getting into. You know, we obviously UCD would have worked with these companies in the past, and they would actually have a good relationship with them. So they would have a culture, I suppose, of taking on candidates, and that as a result, you'd be given meaningful work whilst you're there, and you can really feel like you add value to these businesses. And on top of that as well, having the 8-month period of internship compared to a lot of places which only do 6 months, it allows you to, I suppose, be there for more of the lifetime of the project. Like, I know whilst I was there, I got to work through many projects from start to finish, and work as part of, say, public consultation and stuff like that, which is very interesting and it's very useful as I go forward in my career to know what to expect. And whereas if it was only 6 months, I probably wouldn't have had those sorts of opportunities. And I wouldn't have really got to see it out from the beginning of a project, or say a tender to the end of it. But yes, as I was saying, UCD give you all the supports there. You can also go and source your own placement if you'd like, and it can be secured through the placement advisor, placement who the person who's over the placements, and it's no worries for as long as it's secure, and whether it's it'll take you on for the 8 months and it's within, I suppose, the confines of the placement period, then it's no worries at all. You can take on your own somewhere else.
Brilliant. And then just a question we always get asked is, did you get paid for your placement? Is that something that companies typically do for
Uh,
students on placement?
Yeah, so as part of our placement, as part of all of our placements, we were all paid. Obviously salaries varied and stuff like that. However, for the most part, you're paid reasonably well. Actually, you're paid a lot more than minimum wage anyway. And I suppose you work on a salary basis. It's very different to say part-time work in the past where I would have been paid on an hourly basis and things like that. You're paid, and you can even some places even offer bonuses, and a lot of time you get expenses as well for other things, say for travel expenses or for any sort of work gear or anything like that. You were always given that and expensed for it as well, which was great. It really was just like working. It was really fantastic. Like, and I suppose coming into it as well with slightly more experience being a fourth year, you were actually more inclined to be paid slightly more. And I know myself from, I suppose, with as you're going with a master's degree, going into the world of work, you usually would see at like even at a graduate level that you would have a slightly higher pay packet than someone who's on a bachelor's degree, because obviously for someone on a bachelor's degree, if they want to become chartered, they have to take on, like, say, part-time education whilst they're working. Whereas for you, I suppose you're more valuable to the company in that you don't have to have those sorts of constraints, that you can be really on the path of chartership, and after 4 years of working with a particular company, you could be a chartered engineer by the end of it. And that's obviously very valuable to them, that you can sign off on things and be seen as, I suppose, an expert in your.
Brilliant. No, that sounds great. And most of the feedback we get from students who've gone on placement that it is a really great aspect of the course that we have an offer here in UCD. So Chongqi, I might ask you, you're doing the 1-year structural engineering program. How practical is your program, and is there much lab work or teamwork or project work that you would do?
Well, I think the course is very good, and I have a lot of teamwork. But from now, I don't think I have any lab experience. But I think it's fine, and I just say from the achieve that challenges, I think I learned a lot of knowledge, and I think it's very good for me to. For my PhD, it's okay, and for if I want to work after my master, it's also good. And in China, many companies said that they said my major in UCD is, they think is very good compared with lots of university in China.
Great. And obviously you're very interested in going into the research side. Obviously with all our master's programs, they would do a thesis or a minor thesis dissertation research project kind of as part of the curriculum. Is there much flexibility, Chongqi, I might ask you, is there much flexibility in choosing the topics for that research project, or are they all pre-assigned?
No, I think for me, I just choose my topics which I'm interested in. And in my undergraduates, I learned more is like how to build a bridge and the road bridge and river crossing engineering. And so for my master's, the thesis topic, I just choose something similar.
Great. And then Cian, yourself, did you have flexibility within your course to pick a topic that you were interested in?
Absolutely, yes. So we were given options for our thesis for, I believe we've got 80 or 90 different thesis titles that we could choose from. However, actually, I was one of those who chose a different path, and I actually chose my own title as part of my thesis, which was great. So the title that I chose was how the design of active travel and public transportation infrastructure can influence whether or not one will use it, and with a particular focus on gender and the difference in how different genders perceive transportation infrastructure, and to see whether or not there's a significant difference in that we could use as design engineers then to, I suppose, improve infrastructure. Because I suppose, although it's changing now, in the past, civil engineering would have been seen quite as a male-dominated industry. And recently by TII and Engineers Ireland and other professional bodies, they're really pushing towards women in STEM and getting more women into the workplace, because by having, I suppose, that different point of view will create more equitable design, as a lot of designs haven't had, I suppose, the concerns of women in it, whether that could be with the width of pavements or lighting levels and stuff like that, which obviously has a very big impact on how an area can feel, or whether or not you choose, say, to walk or cycle to work. And I've really enjoyed working on my thesis. I'm just coming to the end of it now. And the results have been, they've been, I suppose, good towards where my research topic was going, and I've got really good information on data and that I will take into with myself through the future into my world of work, because I'll be working on active travel projects hopefully now soon, and I'll know myself well, like, obviously applying a gender lens to it, that you can see the differences in how people can perceive it, and always making sure to ask myself the question of, well, if I were, say, if I were a woman walking on this particular footpath, and would I feel comfortable? Which for a lot of women, as part of my research, I actually found that a lot of areas it wasn't so comfortable, like, whether it be especially late at night where lighting levels might not be good, and it can lead to a feeling of being unsafe, which is obviously very unattractive or very unappealing to use it then, and more likely to be using your car. So I suppose really it's been really eye-opening, and I've really enjoyed it, and I'm glad to be able to find meaningful research in it that I can then apply in the future and be like, well, let's create spaces that are more equitable and more appealing, and that people are more inclined to use as their everyday commute instead of just jumping in the car.
Yeah, sounds really interesting. And it's great to see research being done even at a kind of top master's level that has potential impact on the real world and the society around us. So that's really great. I think we have time for one more question. Chongqi, I might go to you. Obviously, as you're an international student, you chose to study abroad with us here in Ireland. How did you find settling into Ireland and to UCD when you came here?
UCD, I think everything is totally new, and it's totally different in China. It's totally different, I live here for maybe now it's 2 years, and I have made a lot of friends in Ireland, and they're very friendly and help me a lot. And study here, I think it's very good too, because in the first year, I just tried my best to learn more English and to know how to do the research, and what the step to write a thesis. And for the second year, I have a lot of professional courses and to teach a lot of knowledge about how to design, how to calculate for structure. And I think it's everything here. I love it. So I want to prepare more and study more here to begin my PhD here, because everything I loved here, everything.
That's great to hear that you've had a good experience and that you're intending to stay with us for a longer spell with doing your PhD. That's great. So I think we've come to the end of our webinar today, so we might leave it there. Thank you very much to our speakers for joining us today, and also to all our attendees tuning in. Bye.